On the evening of April 9th, 2018, everything seemed calm and quiet in Wadsworth, Ohio. But little did 98-year-old Margaret Douglas know that this would be the last night she would ever see.
A sentence tonight for the Medina County teenager who broke into the home of a 98-year-old woman, videotaped her sleeping before killing her and abusing her body.
Gavin Ramsey, a 17-year-old boy, walked into her home with the intent to rob her, but what started as a theft quickly turned into a brutal and deadly act.
Gavin Ramsey's family says abuse as a child and use of Zoloft as a teenager contributed to those heinous acts back in April, where he broke into Margaret Douglas's Wadsworth home, killed her, then hid her body in a closet.
Welcome back to my channel. I may not have many followers, but every single comment from you is a ray of hope that keeps me going. The investigation into the murder of Margaret Douglas initially hit a dead end, with no major suspects or leads to follow. The case baffled investigators, as there were no signs of forced entry or any apparent motive. It wasn't until the police started looking into the local neighborhood that they focused on Gavin Ramsey, a known troublemaker with a history of minor offenses. While he wasn't a primary suspect at first, his behavior and criminal history stood out to the detectives. Gavin had a reputation in the area for petty crimes, like breaking into cars and causing trouble. He was a familiar face to local law enforcement, but his involvement in a crime of this magnitude had never been anticipated. Despite his minor offenses, Gavin was brought in for questioning when the police started piecing together the timeline and realized that he was in the area around the time of Margaret's death.
You put the jelly on the gloves. Is that one you used for him to rub your penis?
Yeah.
It was during the interrogation that detectives began to unravel the chilling truth about Gavin's actions. Today, we will dive into the psychological tactics used during his interrogation and how the detectives managed to break through his defenses to uncover the truth.
Gavin, does your mom know why you're here?
I think
No.
yeah.
He said he climbed on top of the tree. Yeah.
So there's got to be more to that story. If I would have gone down here to the other pool, that's what he did.
Yeah.
So we were just walking around. He didn't even drive. Like, he just walked.
Oh, he walked from his house on Euclid?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jesus.
And then we met up at Durling, and we weren't really doing anything. Then we went over to the church and climbed on top. And then we went, like, into the courtyard, but that's all we did.
Now, you did more. Unfortunately, you guys have left behind some very telling items. Okay?
Gavin's initial responses were full of contradictions. For example, he told the detectives that he was merely walking around, but his actions did not align with this narrative. Detectives strategically pointed out these contradictions, which created a sense of mental discomfort in Gavin. This discomfort pushed him to either change his narrative or confess to the truth, as maintaining the lies became increasingly difficult.
If we're going to get to the bottom of this, let's just make it the truth all at once and deal with it and get it done.
You're 17.
Yeah. You're a kid, so you're not looking at what trouble is. So you snuck back in the house there right after that?
Yeah.
And just so you know, we did stop him, I'm sure. He said he told you that.
Yeah, he
He said
did.
he texted you that and let you know that he got stopped. Did you know he left his phone?
Yeah, he told me.
Yeah, and your green lighter?
While the detectives didn't explicitly play good cop, bad cop, they subtly used a variation of this tactic by balancing moments of empathy with moments of confrontation. At times, one detective would soften their approach and show concern for Gavin, suggesting that telling the truth would benefit him, while the other would use more confrontational techniques, such as directly confronting the lies. This created an emotional roller coaster for Gavin, where he would feel compassion and empathy, only to be confronted with the cold reality of his actions. This dynamic pushed him between the desire to please the good cop and the fear of the bad cop. The detectives aimed to make Gavin feel like telling the truth was his best option to avoid further consequences.
You guys do anything else in the area?
No, he told me you were talking about, like, car thefts and stuff, but that's not anything I'm involved in.
You guys didn't, now would be the time to tell, okay? Because we processed the cards, we did fingerprints and DNA.
Detectives used the tactic of selectively presenting evidence, creating the illusion that they had more information than they actually did. For example, they suggested they had fingerprints and DNA evidence linking Gavin to the crime, even though they hadn't processed everything. This created psychological pressure, leading Gavin to believe that his lies were being exposed, even if they hadn't been. By feeding Gavin small pieces of evidence, the detectives pushed him toward a mental state where he felt it was pointless to lie further. He was led to believe that his deception was futile and that the truth would inevitably come out.
And I'm sure you guys know about the elderly woman that was found.
Oh my God, that was horrifying. That was horrifying.
Kevin, do you know anything about it?
No, that's honestly probably 5 or 6 people.
That you talked to? Is that what you're saying?
As the detectives pressed him, Gavin became more uncomfortable with the silence. He wanted to avoid being caught in a lie or making an admission, so he filled the gaps with additional explanations. This is typical in interrogations. Suspects often feel the pressure of silence and inadvertently reveal more information than they intend.
This way. Honesty is always what's better.
I'm not holding anything back. Like,
You've already gotten yourself in trouble, so.
I know, and I don't even. I don't know what to say.
Is there more? Because you know it always
No,
comes out.
it's not that there's anything more. It's what the fuck, dude. I'm mad at myself. I'm so mad at myself. Like, honestly, I don't even want to live at home anymore. I don't know. I'm not fucking normal. I need to live somewhere else. Like, if, I don't know, some halfway house or something, I honestly would not care.
Why would you want to live in a halfway house? What is so wrong about living at home?
No, but there's nothing that they do. It's me. Like, everything I'm putting through, I'm costing them thousands of dollars. Constant heartbreak. I've honestly probably never made either of them proud.
The detectives also used empathy and built rapport with Gavin. They presented themselves as concerned, offering him an out by suggesting that honesty would be his best path forward. When Gavin became emotional, the detectives would gently encourage him to open up, suggesting that his troubles could be minimized if he was truthful. This tactic is particularly effective with younger suspects like Gavin, who may still be influenced by emotions like guilt, shame, or the desire for acceptance. The detectives used these emotions strategically, showing Gavin that there was a way to mitigate the situation if he confessed.
I don't do anything fucking good.
Stop cussing.
It's a word.
Well, it's disrespectful.
You're making it sound like it's no big deal right now. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to you or my mom. I'm just saying, like, right now you're making it seem like, oh, you just went, you know.
To us, there's more serious things out there.
Yeah, I know, but then I go to court and it's completely different. Like last time, the cop told me, oh, like, when I got the felony, like, yeah, it'll be, you know, blah, blah, blah. He wasn't even making it sound bad. And then, next thing you know, I'm on probation for 6 months with a felony and 2 misdemeanors.
Weren't these cars all unlocked, or
Yeah.
they didn't break?
No, they were all unlocked.
So would you just walk through the neighborhood trying people's cars? What'd you do if somebody got to my car? Like, that's so upsetting and scary.
I understand that, but it's really their own fault for not locking.
No, that's not my house time.
The presence of Gavin's mother during the interrogation played a significant role. The detectives used her presence to trigger emotional reactions, hoping that Gavin would become overwhelmed with guilt or pressure and confess. The detective also manipulated the gender dynamics, suggesting to Gavin that his emotional state was affecting his family, which could further drive him to confess.
Did you sneak out last week?
No.
So you had nothing to do with that? Because again,
None of that stuff is going to be me. What I did was last night, just in our general area, we walked around. Honestly, can you two actually leave for a second?
What's that?
Can you two actually leave? So I can talk to her.
Yeah.
Gavin's request for his mother to leave the room highlighted his need to regain control of the situation. His emotional vulnerability, seen through his defensive attitude and desire to shield his mother from the truth, was a clear indicator that he was emotionally affected by the situation. The detectives used this to apply further psychological pressure, pushing Gavin toward a confession.
Carjacking, okay, it was me, I'm gonna be honest about it, but the way that he explained it, that guy, that's not right. That grinder thing, yeah, I have been on it. And this guy was like the first time that this happened, and I told him, like, I was 17 and everything, and I wasn't planning on doing anything with him. It's not my style. I was just, like, he was a 40-year-old man trying to get with a 17-year-old, so I was just gonna rob him. It's, like, it's still messed up, but against what he's doing, I don't really think it is. And then the whole carjacking thing, I never even left Overlook. I literally, like, I got in, and he's like, what, should we go to the back seat? I'm like, yeah, sure. So he got out, I sit and locked the doors, and hopped in the driver's seat and just drove around, messed with him, and then I left.
Throughout the interrogation, Gavin repeatedly contradicted himself. He minimized the crime, claiming that it was just a robbery gone wrong. Detectives pointed out the inconsistencies in his statements, pressuring him into confronting the reality of his actions. This discomfort was meant to chip away at his resolve to maintain the lie.
Well, we knew it was there, when he finally went somewhere to get it from, and we knew there was something more to the story that he wasn't telling us.
Yeah, I didn't damage any of his stuff, I just, like...
Do you have his wallet?
No.
I'm sure your mom's standing out there freaking out.
Yeah, she probably thinks I'm confessing to murder. She's been in here so long.
How are you going to tell your mom? Do you want me to tell her? Do you want to tell her?
Gavin's emotional state was fragile. He expressed guilt and even frustration about his actions. But this emotional turmoil was also a manipulation tactic. The detectives carefully monitored his emotional responses, using moments of vulnerability to make him feel that revealing the truth would alleviate his inner conflict.
Well, we talked a little bit about the carjacking situation. It's not what you think.
Okay.
It's not a gun in the face and I'm going to steal your car. There's an app called Grindr that people use for hookups. And
I wasn't hooking up with the guy. I planned on robbing him because he was trying to meet up with a 17-year-old. Like, I didn't go on the site looking for, like, sex or anything. Like, I'm not gay. I went on there, honestly, like a catfish kind of thing.
I don't even know what that means.
Throughout the interrogation, Gavin was isolated in a small room, away from any distractions, which increased his sense of vulnerability. The physical isolation was paired with psychological isolation, as the detectives controlled the flow of information and kept Gavin under constant pressure. The lack of external stimuli and the controlled environment made Gavin focus solely on the interrogation. This isolation amplified his anxiety, leading him to seek relief through confession. The psychological pressure was designed to break his resistance and make him more malleable to the detective's manipulation.
you sure I can't get you a drink? I know telling me about it doesn't give you much relief.
Change the fact that it ruined my life.
Gavin was made to feel as though he had a choice. He could confess and face fewer consequences, or he could continue resisting and face the wrath of the bad cop. This back and forth created emotional turbulence for Gavin, making him more likely to open up in order to relieve the psychological pressure.
Underwear.
There was a bit of an altercation. Like, she wasn't up whenever she was talking to the phone.
So did you kind of wrestle with her then?
A little bit. Like, just off the couch.
Silence pushed Gavin to either continue lying or admit the truth. As he became increasingly uncomfortable with the silence, the pressure built. This tactic made him feel isolated, which led him to begin offering up more details in hopes of avoiding further tension.
On the floor. And her underwear got torn then?
Yeah, kind of good.
So when she died, was she on the couch or on the floor?
Floor.
Were you on top of her then?
Kind of.
Like straddling her?
Yeah.
And did you use one hand or both? Did you squeeze it or push her against the floor or both?
Detectives pushed Gavin to recount specific details of the crime, slowly chipping away at his narrative. They asked him to relive the event in vivid detail, which not only encouraged him to remember more, but also created pressure for him to tell the truth. The more specific the questions became, the more Gavin's previous lies crumbled. This detailed questioning forced him into a psychological corner, where avoiding the truth became more difficult. The act of detailing the crime increased his emotional discomfort and nudged him closer to confession.
And you said you don't remember if she was bleeding at that point.
Well, I mean, the only reason I can think of bleeding is when I put my hand over her mouth.
So you were when you were holding her hand over her mouth, you might have pushed too hard and maybe made her nose bleed.
Yeah.
By mirroring Gavin's posture, tone, and speech, the detective made him feel more comfortable and less defensive. This helped reduce psychological barriers and allowed the detective to gain Gavin's trust. Once trust was built, the suspect became more likely to open up and confess.
Opened the door, I just listened. I didn't hear anything, so maybe nobody's home. And then I go to walk around that corner, and I'm still going slow, but I see her, and she's, I don't know, like sleeping or something. And then I go to turn around and hit the chair. I made a noise, and she woke up.
And she started to scream at that point, you said?
Yeah, because like when I hit the chair, I like turned back around and I looked, and she was there staring at me and started to yell. And then went for the phone. She already knew what I looked like.
He has become more open about his actions, providing specific details regarding the murder. This change indicates a recognition of the evidence against him, and perhaps a desire to mitigate his culpability by expressing regret.
Now, there's a couple of videos of you kind of peeking over the edge of the couch and videotaping her. When was that all done?
Gavin initially provided multiple conflicting accounts of what happened. making it clear that he was trying to control the narrative. Detectives confronted him with these contradictions, amplifying his discomfort. The dissonance between his version of events and the evidence pushed him toward a breaking point, where his need to resolve the internal conflict led him to divulge more information.
That was on the same night. Why did I lie about anything? That was stupid. Okay. When you went to the house earlier? No, like I never went to the house before, but like I went in and I was being quiet and everything. And like how it happened, like I wasn't lying about that, but I did, you know, like I turned the corner and didn't see her. And you hid? Yeah, then I hid and I was taking my phone. I was taking pictures to see if she was awake.
By normalizing the interrogation, the detectives created an environment where Gavin felt less defensive and more willing to engage. It made him feel like he wasn't just being accused, but was part of a process aimed at understanding his actions, thus making it easier for him to reveal the truth.
Did you stay there before you put her in the closet?
That was probably like 30 minutes. I just kind of sat there and I didn't know like what was going on. Like I was still in shock from it, I guess. It was like adrenaline and shock at the same time. So like 1 second I'm like, I don't know, adrenaline. Like the next thing you know, it's like an overload. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, I don't know.
So what did you do with your gloves when you left?
I threw those away
Where at?
in the trash can.
Gavin showed signs of emotional conflict and guilt, especially when he discussed his actions after the murder. The detectives capitalized on this by framing his confession as a way to release his emotional burden. They used empathetic techniques, such as suggesting that confessing might bring him some emotional relief, while also encouraging him to take responsibility for the harm he had caused.
What was the purple stuff that was on there? I get it, that there's a whole piece of this that you don't understand why you do, okay? I understand the whole piece that you don't understand.
The idea that the detectives had overwhelming evidence pushed Gavin to feel that further lies would only make things worse. This psychological pressure led him to open up, believing that confessing was the only way to reduce the severity of the situation.
And I get that. Did the purple stuff have to do with the whole piece that you don't understand why you do? No.
The purple stuff was that jelly. I don't even know where that came into play at.
Did you maybe use it like kind of as a lubricant for something?
Is it a part you don't understand, or is it a part just embarrassing? In your own mind, you know what I mean? In your own mind. It's okay. None of this is okay. Well, it's not okay. I'm saying we understand that it's an embarrassing part. You're not sure we understand that part.
By allowing the silence to linger, the detectives increased Gavin's anxiety, leading him to either confess or become more defensive. The silence also gave him the space to reflect on the inconsistencies in his story, further building cognitive dissonance and pushing him to the brink of admitting the truth.
You put the jelly on the glove. Is that when you used her hand to rub your penis?
Yeah.
Anybody can get you through this and get you what you need. fix whatever's going on with you, it's your mom.
But that's the thing. I don't know if this can be fixed. Because it doesn't feel like it's some regular emotion. This feels like it's natural, and I don't want it to be. Anything can be fixed.
The emotional shifts in Gavin were a clear manipulation tactic, meant to confuse the investigators and elicit sympathy. By acknowledging his remorse, the detectives created a space for Gavin to feel as though confessing might restore some emotional balance.
This happened?
Yeah, I'm really sorry that I did all of this.
Were you sorry about all of this before you got caught?
Yeah, like I constantly, like, I think about it a lot, and I feel like bad about what I did. Like I don't, like, I feel bad. I know it's wrong, but I can't express the emotion. So it seems like what I'm saying is a lot. Like, if I say, like, something about my mom, you know, I cry or whatever, it's like, okay, it's being honest. But if I say, like, I'm sorry for what I did, but, like, with Margaret, and I don't have any emotion to it, it sounds like I'm lying and I don't really care.
As Gavin's emotions fluctuated, the detectives began to emphasize the emotional consequences of his actions, not just for him, but for his family. The goal was to amplify his guilt, leading him to take responsibility for his actions to alleviate the psychological burden.
There is news of some closure in one of last year's most bizarre and disturbing stories.
A sentence tonight for the Medina County teenager who broke into the home of a 98-year-old woman, videotaped her sleeping before killing her and abusing her body.
Chris Stein has the story where we are hearing from this 17-year-old convicted killer for the first time. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Russ. Hi, Sarah. Gavin Ramsey's family says abuse as a child and use of Zoloft as a teenager contributed to those heinous acts back in April, where he broke into Margaret Douglas's Wadsworth home, killed her, then hid her body in a closet.
I'm so sorry for what I did. I constantly live in regret and shame because of it.
It's been 9 months since these hands committed those acts on this woman. In their only chance to do so, her family spoke their truth to Gavin Ramsey today.
I find him to be pathetic and a coward and someone that preyed on the most vulnerable person that he could find and attack her in her most vulnerable moment.
In Gavin Ramsey's case, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder of 98-year-old Margaret Douglas.
He then held her against her will, hit her, and strangled her. And I believe that he planned to kill numerous people and used my aunt as a warm-up, so to speak, for those other killings.
Before the judge sentenced him, his mother took a huge chunk of blame, saying she allowed her son to take the depression drug Zoloft, which she says changed him.
You can't make me believe that my decision wasn't the ultimate cause of all of this. To simply say I'm sorry to a victim's family, that's not enough. You can't undo their heartache. You can't undo our heartache.
He left in chains, where he'll remain for life without parole, for the teenager who robbed a 98-year-old from reaching her dream of 100.
The charges included murder, aggravated murder, kidnapping, gross abuse of a corpse, and aggravated burglary. He was sentenced in January 2019.